Helldivers 2 is officially ruined, ladies and gentlemen. If you're not aware of the hubbub, they made a tweet announcing that going forward, if you're going to be playing Helldivers 2 on PC, you will need a PlayStation account linked to your Steam account. What's the point of having a Steam account if you need a PlayStation account at this point? Well, the short answer is they want to be able to ban you a lot easier. Yeah, and we're going to talk about that, but Helldivers 2 had some hype behind it. It's been out for quite some time, and according to this tweet, there's a grace period that's coming to an end, and you have a due date in order to get a PlayStation account linked to your Helldivers 2 account. This is some weird fifi in the foo-foo stuff when it comes to this. We all know, honestly, it's because moderators, they like to control people, and not too long ago, Sony made an announcement talking about some kind of like weird biometric ability for them to detect whether people were toxic gamers. And yeah, this was a big yikes, but it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, especially with all this stuff going on in gaming at this point that is taking the center stage. But now you got to think, is this related to this Helldivers 2 nonsense where they want a PlayStation account attached? There's speculation that they might be making a PlayStation launcher and that this is the beginning of it. But if you honestly want to talk about this whole thing, you're more safe if you retain anonymity online. If you're attaching a PlayStation account, you're having to give more information in order to access a game that you didn't need to have a PlayStation account for the last few months. That's kind of nuts considering how often PlayStation Network gets hacked. There's several times where it's totally unreliable, unsecure, they have hacking problems. Millions of people's data is out there, and now they want us to attach it to something as unreliable as PSN in order to play a game, and people are backfiring on this. If you look at the review score on Steam, it's been bombed to hell. Yeah, even the creative director and CEO of Arrowhead had to make a tweet out basically saying, ouch. He literally said, ouch, acknowledging that this is a mess. But it's a little too late. It's way too late for this. And nobody really knows who's to blame. A lot of people are assuming this is a Sony directive. But funny enough, somebody on Twitter that is part of Arrowhead, I think it's like a community manager or one of the creative directors, said it was Arrowhead's idea. They said Sony was not involved at all and that this was essentially to make it where they could ban people a lot easier. And another community manager by the name of Sprizz is actually being quite rude to users complaining about this in Discord. You can see that they are saying the feedback is not going to change much, essentially saying that we're just screaming into the wind and that if you dislike the requirement to link your account, then you're more than welcome to change your Steam review to negative or do whatever it takes to make the dislike known. But you're just screaming into the wind at this point because it's not going to change anything. Yikes. And then on top of that, and then in typical community manager fashion where they don't know how to respond socially to people, somebody says this will kill Helldivers 2 on Steam, backpedal or lose your player base. They just nonchalantly said, I thought you were refunding and leaving. What is it with community managers being assholes? You're supposed to be the figurehead of a community. You're supposed to spread positivity, and they're acting this way towards people everywhere. And this goes back to that whole concept of communities not wanting toxic gamers, which in a nice way is saying they don't want straight white males that are going to be chauvinistic pigs, no masculinity, which is the majority of gamers. And you got to speculate a little bit. Maybe this is part of the way that the gaming industry is going, where essentially they want to censor people. They want to control, our games to the point where they're censoring not only content in the video games, but they're also censoring gamers and monitoring gamers. If you look, not too long ago, they had this announcement with Sony where biometric data could be found through your gameplay to detect whether you're a toxic gamer and ban you. I kind of have a weird feeling that this is hand in hand with that. There's been a lot of stuff going on in the gaming industry, and it's kind of been swept under the rug. Not too many people paid attention to this tweet that was kind of very vague. But now you're looking at Helldivers 2 connecting PlayStation accounts, and you're seeing rumors of it being used to help control moderation. Just how deep does this go? I have no clue what happens you know, this grace period that all of a sudden expired that they didn't need for months, they suddenly changed the terms. You know, when you agree to a license agreement at the beginning of your games, you usually zoom down and you kind of ignore it and you push A to continue when you purchase a game. This feels like a bait and switch, and it's obviously past the point where people could refund their Steam game. I think Steam only allows you like 2 hours of gameplay. This game's been out for months, so nobody could return it if they disagree with it. I think this feels like a bait and switch. Now, they're claiming that account linking plays a crucial role in securing and protecting your account when it comes to this. And yes, there are several accounts out there that you have to make for certain games. Fortnite has Epic Games accounts. Call of Duty has the Activision ID. Rockstar has the Rockstar Social Club for GTA. I get it. All these games have accounts that you need in order to have some kind of like profile and all this stuff. But if you already have a Steam account to play Helldivers 2, why in the blue fuck would you need to get a PlayStation account? Some people don't want a PlayStation account. Some people don't want to associate their information, which is private, with Sony. Let's say that you have, for whatever reason, some kind of private info that you don't want to disclose involved and attached to your Steam account. Now that you have a PlayStation account attached, you're risking PSN getting hacked like they always do. I mean, don't you remember 2011, that big hack that they went through that was just quite a issue? On top of that, not every region in the world has access to PlayStation Network. Essentially, these people that don't have access to PlayStation accounts are going to be locked out of the game because PlayStation Network is going to be required for this. So this is probably about as anti-consumer than I can think of, especially considering that, people don't have accounts in certain countries or they don't want them. And now they have to get it. This is not going to be received well by PC players at all. They have a PC for a fucking reason. They have Steam accounts for a reason. And you can see Twitter is pretty pissed off in response to all this. If you're looking in the comment section and replies, why did they even think this would be a great idea? And the fact that nobody's really fessing up to anything, Arrowhead says one thing, Sony says another. There's no clear air here. It's a mess. And this is not going to go over well. And funny enough, this game was getting praised for weeks. I had somebody in my chat, their name's Zero Encryption, literally come and chastise me for not playing Helldivers 2. Every game I was playing, they're like, why are you playing this and not Helldivers 2? You should be fighting against communism or whatever the fucking little meme that they have is. Now I'm kind of glad I didn't play Helldivers 2. As cool as it looked, whatever, stuff like this is taking steps back. Stuff like this is what kills support for video games. And if you're looking at the review bombing here, you have to think, are they actively trying to kill this game with every passing updates? Restricting. This is kind of restrictive, and I think that it doesn't add to the experience. If anything, that it kind of turns people away, having to limit access, having to, if you're on PC, you have to get a Sony account. It seems like there's no sense beyond forcing people to get PSN accounts for this, unless they're planning on getting a PlayStation launcher eventually. But even then, what's the point of Steam? So, yeah, a Steam account is all PC gamers should need to play this game. And I don't even know. I think this is essentially refund time. And I don't even think that's 110% possible for every single person that bought the game when it first launched. Because now they decided to bait and switch this. I think they nuked themselves. And, PC Master Race, they don't want to deal with console bullshit. You're adding this into it. It's stupid. It's borderline retarded. And I think they essentially killed themselves when it comes to this game. So there's a pretty huge fucking outcry out there in regards to this. And it's not a good look with the review bombing and the way that Twitter's talking right now. It's definitely not a good look. I don't think this could be good for Helldivers 2 in the long run. What do you guys think? Let me know.